What's up guys, Intelitech Studios here, and today I'm going to show you how to properly clean and maintain your Amway ClearTrak or WMJ Workhorse vacuum. And if you have the Amway CMS 1000, the process is very similar. So this machine you can still buy under the WMJ Workhorse name, but if you have an older ClearTrak, the machines are 100% identical, and I will link the Workhorse website in the description, so that way any parts you need you can hopefully find on that website. I will do my best to link that in the description, so that way any parts you need you can get. First off, before we start working on the machine, you're going to want to make sure to unplug it. So make sure to unplug it. It is a grounded cord, but still make sure you properly unplug it. And I usually recommend taking the cord off because then you can kind of get better access to the filters and everything anyways. So the first thing that we're going to do, of course, is empty it, because that's the first thing you're going to do is you're going to fill up this dirt container. You're going to have to empty it. The way you empty it, so you see this little blue tab right here, and you see this little groove that it sits in. We're going to turn that down, and that lowers the tab for the back portion of the bin. Now for the front of the bin, you can see that the handle is slightly covering this tab that sticks out of the machine. We're going to grab the handle and pull it slightly to the left from the back of the machine, right from the front of the machine, so that way it clears that tab, and now we can let it slide down. And we're just going to bend it, not bend it, we're just going to, turn it and pull it right out. So that is that. Now for this is just a basic dust cup. You would just dump this in your trash. I recommend dumping this outside if you can. Try to hold it by the bottom of the bin and dump the whole thing at once deep into the dumpster, so that way you're not spewing dust everywhere. But yeah, so we're going to go empty this, and then I'll show you how to clean this entire portion as well as the filters. Now in my case, since I'm going to be washing the bin, I'm also going to want to wash this cyclone. And this is actually very easy to remove. Now, it's dusty, but we're just going to grab it and twist it and pull it straight down. And there we go. Now we have removed the cyclone and we can wash it. And in my case, since I'm washing all the bin and cyclone components, we're also going to wash the filters. Now, I don't remember if WMJ says that you're supposed to wash these filters or replace them. I honestly can't remember, but I'm going to wash them because, well, why not? So, actually, this is probably not the best angle. Let me take you guys down here. Now, the hose can kind of get in the way of this, so you might have to move it out of the way, but we're just going to grab this little tab and pull this out. This is the filter. So, we've got our filter door, we've got our top sponge filter, we've got our little cage that holds in the bottom filter, and there is our bottom filter, and then there's our filter door. So we've got all that, and here is the secondary filter. Now it's kind of weird because the way they sell these is kind of strange, because you end up with more of these than these, even though these are the first thing that the dirt touches. So it's kind of strange. Nope, Rocco, this is dusty. You don't want to breathe any of this in. And there's also a good amount of dust here on the intake where the motor is, so we're going to wipe this down with a disinfecting wipe, and that should take care of that. All these other pieces we're going to wash. Again, I can't remember off the top of my head if you're supposed to rinse these or replace them. I'm going to link replacements just in case, because chances are if you have one that's as old as mine, probably should replace these. Alright, here we are in the bathtub, so we're just gonna start washing all these parts. That's gonna get dirty. Although it's actually not as bad as I thought it would be. It kind of reminds me of the filter on like a modern Power Force Helix or something. I'll even Use it to suck up that dirt. Yeah. Of course, I don't need to show this entire thing, but just rinse it until the water runs clear. Yep. There we go. And this one I expect to be really bad. I'm pretty sure this one you're not supposed to wash, because it doesn't feel like a washable material. It feels like a dryer sheet. So this I'm probably going to have to replace. So that's not ideal. But I'm going to link replacements in the description, or at least the website where you can get the replacements. But yeah, generally, if you have this machine, it's good to have a spare of these on hand, so you're not without your vacuum for any reason. Yeah, it's definitely falling apart. So yeah, you're not supposed to wash this. This you can wash, this you have to replace. Which is funny, because if I remember, when you buy the pack of the filters, I'm pretty sure it comes with like 4 of these and 1 of these. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's right. And that would explain it, because this definitely you can't wash. This you definitely have to replace, because that just fell apart. I'm not going to be able to reuse that. I might still try to dry it out and put it back in the machine, but that's not gonna cut it long term. So yeah, don't wash this, only wash this. This you have to replace. So this I'm gonna wash more thoroughly off camera. And the Cyclone, see all the hair. And all the string. All the string and everything. Oh, that's gross. Sorry about the video cutting out. The little drop of water touched the multitasking button and closed the camera, which is annoying. Alright. A little bit doesn't want to wash off. Yeah. We'll get that off camera. And this. So this part actually comes out. That comes out. Ew. It's gross. Ew. Okay, so you get the idea. I'm gonna wash the rest of this off camera more thoroughly, and then we'll get back. Alright, here we are a few days later, and everything has dried. So we're going to put the filter cartridge back together, and then we're going to put the cyclone back together, and then we'll move on to the brush roll and belt. So here's the little pad filter. Again, if it looks like mine, just replace it. I did order a pack of replacements. I ordered a maintenance kit direct from WMJ, which I will link in the description. And yeah, but in the meantime, this is shrunk a little bit, doesn't quite fit to the sides, but if I put it in the center so it's covering the actual holes underneath, it should be fine. And we're going to take this little guard, and with the pointy bits, we're going to put the pointy bits facing down, as that will hold this filter pad in place and keep it from moving around too much. So you can see at least the holes on the bottom are covered for the most part. So again, I should replace this, which I'm going to, but for now, putting it back together. And then finally, we've got the main filter pad, and we're just going to push this in place. We're going to make sure to install this correctly, because if you don't, then a lot more dust will get through to that second filter. So we're just going to kind of push this into place. There's like a little ridge right there. I always try to make sure it's underneath that ridge. And there are instructions on here to show you how to put the filter in place. So if you are struggling with these instructions, there are some instructions there. Of course, it says replace the filters regularly. So now again, this center part kind of bubbles up a little bit, but when it's in the machine and you turn it on, the suction will, you know, suck it down the rest of the way anyways. So there's a little bit of hair on it from it sitting in my living room. We'll just scrape that off. It should be fine. And now we're going to put it back into the machine. Trying to line it up can be a little tricky, but once you get it, it'll go in. Now on mine doesn't seal super well. Mine kind of sits, there's like a gap, there's like an air gap there. But for mine, it's not a big deal, because once I turn it on, it sucks it down. So, but just note, if yours does this like mine, it should be okay. It shouldn't affect it too much. All right, so now we've got to take this cyclone and put it back in. Now it's kind of hard to see, but there's some notches in there. Usually the easiest way is just to stick this up in there and just turn it until you feel it kind of sit in place. There we go. So there, we kind of felt it. So actually, yeah, felt the notches kind of line up. So now we twisted it. Counterclockwise, and that locked it into place. Again, it can be a little tricky, but once you get the hang of it, it should be good. Now we're going to take the bin, and we're going to take the lower cyclone piece. If this gasket comes off, or if it gets warped, you can throw this in some hot water, and that will allow you to reform it back onto this. You want to make sure this is on correctly. I had to do that whenever I got this. The gasket wasn't on properly. So we just take this, and there's like a little kind of plastic piece in there that this just kind of sits into. Just push it down until it's completely flush. Now it's in there. And now we put on the bin. Try to line it up with that bottom piece. And then we twist it onto this lip right here. And that'll hold it in place. Then we twist this around. We make sure that this little notch is close enough to this, so that way when we twist this, as you can see, it lifts that up and locks it into place. So now the bin and everything is in place. Alright, now we're going to move on to the bottom portion, where we're going to take a look at the brush roll and clean the brush roll, and also replace the belt, or at least show you how to do it. Now I am going to link the belt and brush roll, or at least the section where you can find them, in the description, but since the belt is a wear part, you may wonder if I can't order one, or if I, for whatever reason, need one right now, what can I use as an alternative? And the answer is you can use a Bissell style 7 belt as an alternative. I have done that before on these machines. So in a pinch, if you can't get the genuine belts for whatever reason, which you can still order, by the way, you can use Bissell style 7 belts in a pinch, which is funny because this machine was technically made by Bissell, at least the very older ones. So the way you get access to this is you actually have flathead screws, which is pretty atypical for a vacuum. But you've got 2 flathead screws that you have to undo, and then this bottom plate lifts off. Now these screws are actually captive, so once you unscrew them, they will in fact stay with the base plates whenever you take off the base plate. Yep. It looks like the previous owner of this put a Panasonic UB belt on it, which did work, to be fair. There are a lot of belts that you can interchange on a lot of machines. Bissell Style 7 is what I would use, but a Panasonic UB belt does appear to fit. You could probably put a Dirt Devil Style 4.5 on this as well. There's a bunch of different belts that probably would work on this in a pinch. So, yeah, there's definitely some choices if you absolutely need a belt. But yeah, as we can see, this brush roll does have a lot of strands on it. These brush rolls are really good at resisting hair tangles, but as far as, you know, carpet fibers and all that, I just yanked out the brush roll just from grabbing the string. So yeah, the way you remove the brush roll is you remove the brush roll. Yeah, you just grab it and pull it out. There's nothing too complicated there. And we're going to cut and remove all of these old carpet fibers, as if you leave these on here, these will obviously damage the bristles and the brush roll. So you want to pull off all this string and thread, which you don't need to see me do, but I'm just going to pull all the string off, especially over here. There's a lot. So we're just going to pull this off camera. To remove the belt, you just grab the belt and you kind of push it this way, push it flat, and then push it underneath the motor spindle. And you can move it that way. There's actually a really nice gap here that you can get the belt out. And then to put it back on, you're going to do the same thing, but in reverse. Make sure the writing, now again, this is the wrong belt technically, but it does work. Make sure the writing is facing out. Usually I like to pinch it like this, so there's a little loop. Then you can put the loop in there and kind of hook it around the back side of the motor shaft. And now the belt is on. And it'd be kind of hard for me to demo this. Sorry, I misplaced my tripod. But you're basically going to take this end of the brush roll with the white end. It'll focus. You're going to take this end and we're going to wrap the belt around it like so. Again, trying to do this with one hand is quite frustrating. And then we have to line up the square with that, which it looks like we're able to do. Kind of. So we got to line up that square end in right there, and then we got to line up this other square end and put that in place. And then now we got to turn the brush roll by hand several times, because you can see the belt went pretty far off center. So we got to turn this by hand several times to make sure the belt is centered. Sometimes I like to manually push it over a little bit just to make sure that it's centered properly, which it now is. Make sure that belt is centered, which it is. If the belt is stretched out or broken, obviously replace it. And we can check up on this hose as well while we're here. Oh wow, this has a lot of play in it for some reason. But I don't know if it's missing a screw or what. But yeah, so this hose is in place. You want to check this hose, make sure there's no cracks or splits or anything. Make sure this housing is in place. You can see it can sometimes pop out of place, so make sure that's in place. This one is good. There's no holes or anything. So we're good. This one's actually not in bad shape despite the amount of usage I put on it in the last month and a half. So it's pretty good. So we got to hook the base plate on these little grooves right here. Got to kind of line it up and lever it on. Yeah, maybe. It's not wanting to cooperate too much. Come on. There we go. Kind of slot it down into the grooves. And now you can put that in place. Ratcheting screwdrivers do not like flatheads, which is another reason why I don't like flatheads. But nevertheless, you can then tighten these two flathead screws, if I can see without Rocco, I'm trying to do a video. I'm trying to put Rocco, I'm trying to do a video. Sir, you're in the way. There we go. So now both these screws are in place, base plate is on, and the brushless is clean, and the belt is taken care of. One thing that's nice about this machine is there's really not much to worry about. It's a very simple machine, which I really like. Yes, you do have a rubber stretch belt that you have to replace every once in a while, but there's no secondary motors to break. There's very little to worry about with this. It just kind of keeps going and just keeps working no matter what. So now's the fun part where we get to test it. All right, time to test it. We're gonna switch it over to the tool mode. All right, so it works perfectly, so that's awesome. So that was how to clean and maintain your Amway ClearTrak or WMJ Workhorse or CMS 1000. Anyways, Intelitech Studios signing out. Have a good one. Peace.